going on, everybody? Welcome to the GTR show. I hope you are having an awesome Saturday. Wherever you are, whatever it is that you're going to be doing today, I hope it goes great. So on this show, we are checking out the brand new American Acoustasonic Jazzmaster. This is an amazing instrument. Not everybody plays acoustic guitar all the time, but when you do and when we do, one of the biggest challenges is how you actually get this thing wired up so that it actually sounds like something you want to listen to. And that has probably been the most impressive thing about this guitar for me thus far. But I will say there are a range of things that are awesome about it. First of all, it sits really comfortably. The neck feels great. It's a little tiny bit bigger than a traditional Stratocaster. But, you know, if you kind of look at Strat type world, this little 5-way switch should be awfully familiar. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of walk and talk our way through the feature set and letting you hear some of the different tones. But I would say the most important thing about this instrument, for those of us, all of us honestly, who've kind of honestly struggled recording acoustic guitars, and especially if you ever tried to get it to sit in the right place in a track where it's sitting with other instruments, quite often you're going, I wish it was just a little bit more this, or I wish it was a little bit more that. There is something here basically that allows you to blend between one sound. I'm going to mute my mic here for a second. And then the other sound here. That's, sometimes you're like at either extreme and you're like, well, let me find that spot in between. So, yeah. All right, first of all, Alan, great to see you. Adam K. Project, good morning to you. Rick Costa, great to see you. I hope your locking nut problem is getting resolved. And I can't see everybody simultaneously, but I'm going to do my best to toggle between those things that come automatically into the feed and those that don't. Rick, great progress, hopefully, on the locking nut front. Jim, hello. My video is a bit glitchy. That's, thanks for letting us know. That is, yeah, you know, the interesting thing is that we have been having, I did a speed test this morning. Boy, that sounds wrong. It's like, no, that didn't involve a cup. That did involve speed test on that. By the way, those of you who don't know, a great way to check your down and your up, boy, we're just going south here this morning. To test your speed is speedtest.net. And so I did a test. We were at about 10, but we've been having a little bit of a problem with the good folks over at Comcast. So they're probably on their way out the door. And we really appreciate that heads up. Melissa, thank you for being down there in the chat and letting everybody know about that. Good. All right. So first of all, Headstock Harem, great to see you. Love that photo. Okie dokie. Good. Oh, I love that guitar, Adam. Look at that. Ooh, yeah. All right. So, awesome. Hey, folks. So, first of all, if you have an acoustic guitar, let me know in the chat what your acoustic guitar is. Does it have a piezo? Have you spent much time miking it up? So, where this story kind of started for me, first of all, the Fender folks have been really exceptionally cool with me. All right, just a little baby shout out. The PR team at Fender is nothing but phenomenal. And they have, in kind of my work as a, if you will, a YouTuber, and also for Worship Musician Magazine, they have gone out of their way to provide amazing instruments and amazing support as they continue to roll out amazing products. So the thing is that my relationship also extends into some of the folks that are also in the Nashville office, And so my contact there reached out to me and said, hey, we'd also like to see you have this at launch. So I was able to kind of be part of this launch process. And, you know, the funny thing is last week this guitar was here and I was like, I can't talk about the guitar. And when you're shooting video, you always got to be really conscious that something that is under embargo doesn't accidentally sneak into the frame. That could be bad. So the point being is that I've had the privilege of being involved with Fender. My first electric guitar was a Jaguar, so this hits home to me closely. So without going too far down the rabbit trail, having an instrument that you can traverse between so many different tones easily is part of the journey that I've been on. There's a video that I did for a company called DPA that has this massive range of microphones. We're just in the process of wrapping that up. That's going to appear on the Worship Musician site. But literally, their mics are used in the biggest symphony orchestras, the biggest films. And I had another acoustic guitar here that I kind of discovered the mics were so good that I discovered the acoustic guitar was painfully mediocre, and the mics revealed that. And in so doing, I kind of went, wow, this whole miking and acoustic guitar thing is a whole deal. And I went through this journey of kind of moving mics around and all of this stuff, and I kind of went, a great mic is going to make the instrument sound like the instrument. There's nothing you can do to escape it. So that immediately preceded the arrival of this instrument. And compared to the other instruments in this thing, and I'm going to play through the shotgun here. It's the loudest of the bunch, and I immediately noticed that. I think it's actually quite pretty. I know some folks necessarily aren't enamored with the look, but honestly, I'm more interested in the way an instrument sounds. So first of all, let me just jump into the chat here real quick. Oh, look at this. So Jim, you've got one of those Acoustasonic amps. Those sound great. They are really, you know, the funny thing is as much as Fender is known for their electrics, they're doing a really cool job. Ooh, Sir Aura is my friend. Awesome. Great, great, great. All right. Yeah, isn't that lovely, Bursty? I think celebrating a Bursty on Saturday is a good thing. All right. So with that said, and there's one other feed that, there we go. I got to monitor this guy. Let's see if we can get, no. Where are you? You're over here. It was interesting. Facebook has changed up the way, there we go. Tom Atkins, there you are. Great to see you, my friend. 1999 C14 updated expression system. Nice. So you've been on board with that puppy for a while. Another Taylor. There we go. Dean, what's happening? Good morning to you. A picador. Brian, good morning to you. What is a picador? You have to excuse my lack of knowledge. All right. So first of all, what I'm trying to do, let's see how I do, is to be highly focused, highly professional, very paced. Don't talk too much. Don't play too much. So what I want to do is I'm going to take a moment and we're going to actually hang out. Now that I've given everybody salutations, I want to take a moment and actually head over to this little brochure so we can actually talk a little bit through this thing. First of all, this little blend knob is what you saw me using already, and they call it the mod knob. And what I love about this, and this is what's really interesting, is that the ability to use this like a traditional volume control or a tone control, but to blend between the kind of, if you will, the A and the B sound that's associated to each of the 5 selections of the pickup selector is a big deal. And then you've got a traditional volume control. It's important to keep this thing charged. It says here, I think 4 to 5 hours. I got about 6 or 7, but it's one of those things you do want to be conscious of. I was also fairly conscious of keeping the guitar unplugged when I wasn't playing it. There, again, you've got your 5 pickup selections. And now here's what you've got is number 5 is all the way up, all the way. So let's see, I'm going to play through these. Hang on, let me just make sure I've got my A and my B straight. So just one second. This was the thing that was interesting was A was all the way up, B was all the way. Yeah, that diagram still freaks me out because the arrows are moving in the same direction. So A is all the way. I think the diagram's kind of backwards. So as I understand, the A is with the tone. Actually, I'll be able to tell by this. Hang on just one second. So here we go. Hang on a second. There we go. So the B, all right. So the B, yeah, there we go. So heading back to this diagram, just so we're all on the same page. So the B, and I'm not quite sure why they did it this way. There we go. The B is where the volume control is all the way up, and the A is with the volume control all the way, or sorry, that secondary control, if you will, the mod knob, the A is all the way back, and that diagram on the A is actually backwards. The arrow should be going in the opposite direction. But I know for a fact from what's going on in the number one pickup selection. So A, all right, so I'm on the Rosewood Dreadnought. Mahogany slope shoulder. And then kind of, I'm going to blend from the Rosewood Dreadnought. And hang on, I'm going to need to mute the mic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to blend from the Rosewood Dreadnought further and further until I end up all the way at the Mahogany slope shoulder. Here we go. Starting off on the Rosewood Dreadnought. Let's try that again. Starting off on the Rosewood Dreadnought. All right, let's move over to the next one here, which is going to be pickup selection number 4. I'm going to start off on the Mahogany Jumbo, and I'm going to go all the way to the all Mahogany Small Body, and then I'm going to start blending. Here we go. I'm really tempted to play, but I'm just going to kind of walk through the sounds here. All right, so the middle position there on the A, and obviously you can read, but it's the Rosewood Auditorium, and then the body sensor, which is kind of for your rhythmic kind of poppy. I'm not great at that stuff, but I will attempt to. I'm going to first of all play through some of the sounds, then I will attempt to kind of hit this thing like a drum. All right, starting with the Rosewood Auditorium, muting mic. Body sensor. Blending between. All right, moving right along. Number 2A. Now this is where it gets kind of cool. The lo-fi piezo, and then the lo-fi piezo with crunch is really a great range of options to have. All right, lo-fi piezo. All right, moving over to the numero uno. Now this is where it gets most interesting, is in the A position. We've got their electric fat semi-clean. And basically this is a Shawbucker, which means it's a humbucking pickup designed by Tim Shaw. Imagine that. And then as you bring it up, you move over to the B position. I'll go between the A and the B. You'll hear this, basically that same drive circuit that you had before on the piezo. Let's take a listen, starting off with just the electric fat semi-clean. into all sorts of copyright claim issues today. All right. So in any case, that is a huge range of tones. This whole kind of the one thing I did notice that when I was using the Shawbucker with the drive all the way up, because it is an actual hollow body instrument, if you had a lot of volume going on in the room, you could get a little howl, which is why ultimately I found that the drive version on the piezo was the way to go. I'm going to bring up a little bit of delay here. There's actually a little tiny bit already there, but I'm going to bring up more delay because I'm going to do that. And I'm going to kind of noodle a little tiny bit with some of those more lead tones, just to kind of do something a little bit more electric, which is, again, the neat thing is if, you know, whether it's a travel instrument, when we start traveling again, hello, you know, or, you know, something you maybe, dare I say, keep at the office when we go back to the office, or sometimes, you know, something you keep at the home office. The other thing that I love about it is it plays, somebody asked, it's 11 through 52, I think, with a wound G. But the thing is that it plays more like an electric than an acoustic. And I thought that was a really neat thing that Fender has managed to do, is they still kind of give you the, if you will, the girth of more of an acoustic set, but the feel of an electric set. And if people have any questions, I would love to engage them. So let me do a little noodly here. I'm going to start off with the Shawbucker I'm going to start off with the drive off, and then again, as you bring this up, and I think that's why they thought of this as A going to B. It's as if you've got your volume control and you're engaging that. Uh-oh, are we spooling? Great. All right, thank you, Comcast. In any case, the show must go on. All right, so here we go. Moving over to the number 2 pickup selection, which is the piezo, and kind of doing the same thing from the no drive to the low drive. Let me kill the delay here real quick, and there we go. Pulling back on the drive, just a piezo. Okie dokie. So, Manuel, what's going on, my man? Great to see you. Welcome, welcome. All right, let me toggle a few windows here. And, all right. Let me get over to the right toggled window. There we go. All right. Dean, okay, hey, okay. Let's see here. Dean, I love it. Thanks for the shout out. What role would this Fender play for a P&W live player who uses a traditional electric and acoustic? Boy, you ask the $1,000,000 great question. So the interesting thing is I actually reviewed this in the current issue of Worship Musician Magazine, and that is the $1,000,000 question. So here's the thing, is that the setup that I've got, I'm just running into a channel strip in console. So it is not set up ideally to answer your question, because most people, quote unquote, would want to look at the acoustic side of this thing. I did spend a moment, probably longer than I should have, on the kind of that drive thing, but I wanted people to hear that because it's kind of like if you added some additional drive to that and actually had some additional gadgets, which arguably maybe I should have had already. The point being is that what I discovered is you're absolutely correct in that it allows you to do one, the other, or both. And that is to say, there are some congregations that really like the look of an acoustic instrument. Sometimes, big drum sets and some of that stuff freaks some people out. Totally cool. That's traditionally the case with some older congregations. Some of those congregations are aging out, but there are also sometimes, an early service or something like that. In which case, an instrument like this is great because you can kind of blend in a little bit of that electric stuff. In terms of the standalone, I can actually, hang on, I can do a little something. Give me a moment, and in a second, I'll dial in an amplifier because I can bring that in console. But the idea is that one of the questions that Bruce Adolph, my publisher at Worship Musician, asked me is like, what do you think for somebody that's either a worship leader or a worship guitar player, could they actually walk in and use this for one, the other, or both? And after spending some time with the instrument, I was like, it could be all of the above. And so the thing is, first of all, it's not going to scare anybody. A buddy of mine, Shane, I don't know if he's on here, but he's got kind of this this kind of crazy looking multi-pronged thing that looks like the devil's spear. There's certain instruments that you're just not going to bring to church, right? Hey, what's going on, Speedwagoner? So I'm going to briefly rabbit trail into answering your question there, which I'm famous for doing, but. So this is it. This is my voice. So the answer is it's not super loud, but you definitely do not need an amplifier. All right, heading back to the P&W thing. So the neat thing is the acoustic tones. What I absolutely love about this is when you saw me, again, there are a couple of positions that are my favorite. First of all, I think the piezo, ironically, as much as you would, in theory, not leverage this type of an instrument to kind of replace your piezo, driven whatever acoustic with a piezo-driven Jazzmaster, I was really impressed with the sound of the piezo. They really did a great job because they quite often sound really thin. But the other thing is that there were a couple of other positions that I really enjoyed, all the way up and then kind of the blend there. So I'm going to go to that. What's neat about that is quite often with an acoustic guitar, you've got this challenge where, again, I mentioned it before, it's either a little too much of this or a little bit too much of that. And if we were to be totally honest, many of our church front of house techs are volunteers, and they do the best they can do, but expecting them to know exactly how to EQ your acoustic guitar, there's a reason that you frequently just don't hear it. All you do is see the hands going. So I'm going to kind of find what I think is the sweet spot again in the number 5 position. So let me make sure I've got that correct here. And that will be, there we go. That is the Rosewood Dreadnought and the Mahogany Slope Shoulder. So what's neat about it is you've got kind of a larger body and then a smaller body, and you can kind of get the best of both, which when you're, again, whether it's, you're a mainstream guitar player, out on some, country gig or top 40 gig or whatever the heck it is, or you're at home recording, being able to literally do this, it's huge. Starting off, hang on, we're starting off with the Rosewood Dreadnought. And then we'll kind of blend, I'll go all the way over to the Mahogany Slope Shoulder, and then you'll hear me blending, heading back to the Rosewood Dreadnought, and then blending in the Slope Shoulder. So the other thing I'm going to do now, again, generally speaking, once you're up and running in the middle of a track or in the middle of a set or a worship service, you kind of, on each song, you're going to kind of hang out in one place so the guitar is not moving all over the place. But as an expressive instrument, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to leverage the mod control here as an expressive instrument, just in the same way that we would use a traditional pickup selector on an electric guitar. And this is where this whole thing, hold on a second. I think Doug will see this. That sound reminds me of the ovation tone from Yngwie Malmsteen. I am not worthy. So what you don't necessarily, that's pretty funny. Cupcakes. I'm looking at this great chat. I love you guys. So this is one of the challenges about staying focused in the midst of this. I basically have 3 windows of chat that I'm looking at simultaneously, and I just can't help myself but engaging. So in any case, hello. So the funny thing is that this past couple of weeks I've been hanging out watching Yngwie, and he has a brilliant Strat tone, but his acoustic sound is phenomenal. He's got that whole kind of and he obviously spent time listening to Demiola. All right, getting back to the expressive part of this thing, what I want to do is play something a little bit milder, but kind of shapeshift between the two. So, and yes, it's an electric guitar. It does have some acoustic volume to it. It's not super loud, but again, compared to the Acoustasonic Stratocaster and Telecaster, it's considerably louder. So what I'm going to do, again, is do that whole thing that we might do with a traditional, again, think about Jeff Beck, the way he's kind of toggling between the controls, but I'm just going to do it with those same settings. Here we go. That is to say, the Dreadnought and the Slope Shoulder. There, of course, the fact you can get up to the top of the neck. That neck axis, by the way, it's got a recessed neck joint up there, and I mean, holy cow! You know, it's like, it's really, you can bring a number of the things from electric playing into it, which I think is really rather fantastic. Speed Wagner, I need one is the answer. I love that. Is that a cupcake or is that a guitar? All right, let's take a look here. All right, Jim, awesome. Awesome. Let's see here. There we go. There's that. All right, let's take a look over here. And comments coming in here. There we go. Okay, let's see what's happening over here on YouTube. Hey, what's going on, NTPL? What's happening? Okay, so that is a great question. First of all, welcome aboard. Thanks for hanging out on a Saturday. So Brian Johnson from Bethel has an amazing acoustic tone. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. I kind of love the live demo without a net because it is absolutely confronting of like, what am I going to play now? But it's kind of fun at the same time. And we get a chance to do it together, which is the best part. So first of all, it's a great comment. So here's the thing about Brian. He plays what's called a parlor guitar. I don't know what year it is. I believe it's a Martin. But the thing about parlor guitars is they are smaller bodied instruments. So let me pull up the closest thing that I'm going to have here. And what's nice about it, I'm going to do the all mahogany small body, which is going to be number 4B. So that's this guy. I'm going to mute the mic for a second. That's pretty cool to be able to do on an instrument that is as acoustic as this. And again, it's got the feel of an electric, but it's still got the wound G, so it's got the extra body. I think they have gone, you know, it's the third guitar they've done. So the fact that they've kind of found that balance, I think is really cool. It sits really comfortably. It does have a tendency, the neck is a little heavier than the body. So if I were to kind of do this, you can see that it'll do that. So you just want to be conscious of where you position this puppy. And now literally it is, hang on, let's see if I can do this without breaking the internet and without rolling over my cable. There we go. And there we go. So now it's just balancing on the, basically on my left chest and my left leg. So literally 1, 2 points of balance. And I think, you know, that's one of the things we're always looking for is like, you know, what's going to happen when we sit. The other thing is, you know, say for example, you're teaching like I do today. Then the thing is, then you can kind of let it come to rest right here. And there'll just be kind of that point where it's actually a pretty natural point of rest that happens. And of course, you usually use your arm to just kind of lock it in there. But it certainly... and even the legato stuff. Oh, okay. I'm not even at Guitar Center. Really satisfying play. Okie dokie. Okay, there we go. I love that. So, okay, good. We should have gotten that, Alan. So I walked through the 5-way switch. Thanks for hanging out, by the way. Yeah, I am a huge sucker for the Jazzmaster shape. You know, it's an interesting thing. I didn't used to be a Jazzmaster lover. And, you know, the funny thing is I almost thought about pulling out just one of the... I've got a couple Jazzmasters here. What a lot of people actually don't know, I don't have... All right, hang on. I got to show you the cutest guitar ever. I can't help myself. There we go. Let's do this. Hang on a second. I actually do have one electric Jazzmaster in the room. Sorry, I'm doing it again. Off frame. My show producer will kill me. Oh, that's me. Come here. All right. So the amazing thing is, the folks at Fender, this is the cutest guitar ever, by the way. They do a really good job of plying me in instruments. I have to say, there's nobody in the industry that does a better job of putting guitars in my hands. So this little cute little morsel. I don't even know what to say. This is the beginner guitar that I wish every company made. I don't quite know why this thing showed up. Usually, it's my world's a very strange place. Fender gets ready to release stuff. I'm on their advanced kind of list of stuff, and it's basically like a restaurant. I get a chance to ask for as much stuff as I can possibly get, and most of the time, it all shows up. This was a guitar that I didn't ask about. It just kind of appeared, and I was just like, it is an amazing instrument. It's, you know, because unfortunately, because, you know, I've been a music educator, and part of what I've done for decades is helped people buy gear, make the right decisions. You know, there have been, you know, over the years, there have been certain instruments that I could recommend and know that people would have a great experience with it. And, you know, product lines kind of evolve and they change. But they kind of, the baby beginner range of instruments usually, for lack of a better word, totally suck. But if I'd had this when I was pint-sized, wow. And, you know, it's got humbuckers. It's just a great sounding guitar. It's kind of nuts. So, Adam, to come back to you, I am a total sucker for the Jazzmaster shape. And what I didn't know was that, you know, Jazzmasters, you know... They're great for blues. They're fantastic blues guitars. Actually, it was pretty funny. Joe Bonamassa made a little comment on one of his posts one day. It was like, it's nice to hear some jazz. He was playing an event, one of his vintage Jazzmaster. It's nice to hear a Jazzmaster without being draped in delay and reverb. I think he was taking a little stab at the P&W guys. So, but what he was really getting at is like, they are phenomenal blues instruments, which they are. And it's interesting. It's not an instrument that you see a lot of blues players using, which is really kind of too bad. Hey, what's going on, Dwayne? Great to see you, my man. Hope all is well with you. You're in Australia, correct? What time of day is it there? It's really early. No, wait. No, that's the other show. That's right. Late evening, early evening, something like that. Welcome aboard. Yes, 2B would work for most ambient worship sets, and it's just got enough drive to it. Heading back over to the Jazzmaster, Acoustasonic Jazzmaster, and then again you start adding some other stuff. That's what I was going to do. Was going to add a couple of other little goodies to the mix there, and kind of whether it's a P&W thing, that is to say, praise and worship for those of you that don't know what P-dub is, or just kind of one guitar, one gig. The ability to toggle between those different sounds is really cool. So let me pull up something in here that's going to give us some drive. I'm going to go for a Fuchs. Let's see, I'm going to put that after. There we go. So let's get the Fuchs going here. And all right. So I'm going to start off in the piezo. Without the drive, I'm going to bring it in. I have no idea kind of where the amp is set, so I may do a little fiddling here, so bear with me. First of all, that sounds really good. Need to make a little bit of a level adjustment here, so just to hang on a second, I'm peeking over here. All right, let's move over to the full humbucker, starting off from the clean side to the dirty side. Making a little adjustment at the amp here. Hang on. Sorry, I mentioned before that if you're in... I missed the mic. First of all, Manuel, bienvenidos. Hablo un poquito de español, pero bienvenidos a la show. Yep. Thanks, Mel, letting me know the mic was off. It happens. So, in any case, I've dialed up a different amplifier here. And as I mentioned, when you're in the Bridgemost pickup and you kind of go to the high gain thing, and even if not, because it is an actual... kind of a hollow body, you will get a little howl if you're not careful. So if that happens, switching over to the piezo with the high gain. All right, let me mute the mic here and let me have a little bit of fun. It's going to take a moment just to fine tune the tone a little bit, but I'm going to have a little bit of the extreme edge of this thing. Sorry, this is me talking to myself as I'm kind of setting up the channel strip here. Oh, I can pull that up in here. Okay. I pulled up, just so you know, the BrainWorks BE100 because I was like, let's just go all the way out. So let me open up the effects rack here and bring in a little bit of delay while we're at it. There we go. All right, let's see what I can do to destroy this. That's kind of cool. So what I was doing there is I just pulled up, I'm using Console, which is Universal Audio, kind of bundled console application that kind of serves as a layer in between the audio interface and Pro Tools. So you can basically bring up effects before you go into Pro Tools, whatever DAW you're using, and you can do it basically with no latency. But basically I'm using this kind of like a virtual amp. So I've got the Friedman BE100, and that kind of sustainy feedback. That was kind of cool. I wasn't anticipating that, but that was the sort of stuff you hope will happen. Now, I am not necessarily digging the echo that I've there, so I want to bring up something else in the delay range of things, and I think I'm going to bring up I can bring up a Korg SDD 3000. Let's do that. Give me a sec to dial this in. Let me try and come up with something a little bit more like an actual distorted rhythm guitar here, so give me a sec. Turning that mic back on. To answer the implicit question, can it toggle back and forth between those different sounds? There we go. Left you up the entire time there. I think it definitely can. And the neat thing is with some sort of multi-effects unit and presets and whatnot, you could easily toggle between the different extremes that you would need to. And honestly, it rocks out pretty darn hard. Oh, awesome. Thanks, Rick. So let me... Yeah, and again, Tubi is nice. You could definitely walk your way through that. Ooh, I'd love to check that out. Awesome. Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay. Good. Thanks, Alan. Appreciate that. All right. Okay. There we go. Awesome. Good, good, good. Okay, so the scale. So it is, hang on just 1 second. Let me just go in. And so the great thing, and I mentioned this on my other, Andy Guitar, what's going on, man? Good to see you, my dear friend. So the great thing about Sweetwater, do I actually have that page open from the other day? Yeah, there we go. It's 11 through 52. And in case you guys don't know this, just about any guitar that you ever go to get, if Sweetwater carries it, they'll actually have the string gauge that originally came on the instrument. And as the case with the Fender stuff is, they've also got it notated it's the NPS, the nickel-plated steel. Because strings make a huge difference, and if you ever been recording and changed strings and put on a different string, or just you didn't know what was on there, with all the brands that are on the marketplace, chances are whatever strings you use at home and whatever strings came on the instrument, they're going to be different. And when you put the new set on, you either liked it better, or you're like, man, I wish I knew what was on there. That's one of the great things about that Sweetwater website. Jacob, what's going on, man? Great to see you. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Thank you. Really, otherwise I'd just be sitting here just kind of going, well, this is fun, but this is way more fun. So thank you very much. Great to see you. I take it everything is going well with you? Cruising along? Jacob, by the way, is a master chess player, and so I hope everything is going well. How is your Helix? That's what I want to know. All right. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Here's the interesting thing is that they're acoustic guitars, one of the reasons that they're so difficult to capture the sound of what you think they actually sound like is the sound hole is here, right? But when you play an acoustic guitar, it's kind of like the way most guitar players hear their amplifier, where the amp's down on the ground and their head's up here, and when they actually, they're kind of like, why does it sound so harsh through the PAs? Because they're hearing the amplifier in the cabinet off axis. And the same thing is kind of true with an acoustic guitar. And in many ways, an acoustic guitar is designed not for what it sounds like at the sound hole, but what it sounds like from the player's perspective, which is a very interesting thing. And so the idea is, in theory, the sound that's being projected out into the room is reflective of the player's experience. But they're totally different. And so if you've ever tried to mic a guitar at the sound hole, you're like, it sounds nothing like the guitar. And so having spent several hours, DPA has a microphone called a 4099. It's a brilliant microphone, and you can kind of attach it to the body with this kind of built-in little ratchety deal. And, kind of where you want to go is somewhere between the 12th fret and the sound hole, and then you kind of move it around until you find the right location that is close to something that you're happy with. But literally to do, I'll take the drive stuff off in a moment, but to do what I was doing where I was shape-shifting between, let me take that off now. Hang on. All right, sorry, you're going off. So to do this, you're moving the microphone, or you're dealing with some thing that takes the essence of what you're doing with the microphone, which is trying to find the ultimate placement, and then tweaking it. And invariably, there's going to be artifacts in one way or another. So the ability to do that is, if you spent time miking up an acoustic guitar and or, kind of, this is the other thing about the voice print DI, which is from the LR Bags folks, which I'm going to be digging into pretty deeply in about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. They're also trying to address this thing, and kind of their mission about this is that they want the guitar to sound great for the player. Because, again, for those of us that have played acoustic guitar in recording situations or live, it's honestly, most of the time we're pretty frustrated because it usually doesn't sound anything like what we want it to sound like, what we think it should sound like, or what our instrument actually sounds like by the time we hear it through the PA. And that's a huge frustration. So the ability to kind of find that sweet spot between two models is, there are very few things that I get as enamored about as I do about the ability to kind of solve a problem that is as global as, like, how do I just make my acoustic guitar sound great anywhere? That is a problem that many, 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 many people have, and it's great to have a solution for all of that. Arlen Saltz, hey, hang on a second. There we go. Look at this. Look at this. I have a Godin, no surprise. There we go. LGXT, and it's very versatile, but stink isn't ever heavy. What's the weight like on the Fender? That is a great question. I'd say it's about 4.5 to 5 pounds. And again, I will go back over to the House of Sweetwater, where they have the answers to all things guitar. So hang on a second. Gosh, I love that website. I really do. Hang on. Now, the interesting thing is the weight is actually... Sweetwater, don't fail me now. Hold on a second. It doesn't have the weight. That's nuts. Hang on. All right. Why did you do that over there? Okay, Fender.com. I'll bet you anything the Acoustasonic's on the home page. You bet it is. Okay, good. Yep. Shop now. Learn more. Thank you. They seem to be rather excited. No, I don't want to... There we go. Let me get to the product page. Tell me about the weight. It's got to be about 4.5 pounds. And my guess is... There we go. Specs. Oh, by the way, I said NPL. That's not accurate on the strings that are on here. They are Duratone 860 CL coated phosphor bronze. And that's basically so you don't open your guitar case one day and it's all janky. Coated strings have come a long way, so the weight is not on here. So nobody knows how much this thing weighs. I'd say it weighs about 4.5 pounds, give or take. Let's see if I can do this without breaking anything. All right, where is this? Let me get over there. Okay, and that's what I'm looking for there. Oh, I got it. So on sorry, yeah, on here it said Fender 11 through 52. So at least you know it's Fender, but actually usually Sweetwater's really good about specifically listing the exact original, not only gauge, but which strings were on there. And yes, sorry, I keep leaving these overlays up. Rick, yes, so the thing about this projection is they are still trying to keep the sound whole, and it's something that they've managed to do a better job of with each of these instruments, this again being the third. It started with the Tele, and then the Strat, and then this guy. It's a funny thing because it's a very, pretty slender instrument, so it feels a lot like a Jazzmaster, but at the same time, the way it projects sound, it's not going to be a huge sounding instrument. But, oh, there we go. Wildwood says about 6 pounds. Who said that? Who was that? Who texted? Who texted that? Shane, hey, what's going on? Now that's a friend. Thank you very much. So, by the way, that tells you where Shane shops. We'll leave it at that. Thanks, Shane. Much appreciated. But it's a really cool guitar. Okay, hang on a second. Okay, good. Um, good. Okay. What's going on, Ronan? Great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us. Okay, Manuel, we've said hello, which is great. Okay, Andy Guitar. All right. There we go. Good. Oh, that's great to know. Rewind by 5 seconds, and that solves any problems with the stream. Good to know. Thank you so much. So again, Arlen, what a pleasure. So Arlen is somebody I know from Canada who puts on these giant events and has been a real friend. So Breakforth Canada, it's like basically these amazing events that take over Edmonton. So I've had the privilege of going up there and being able to hang out with Arlen. And his son, Jared, is one of the most talented musicians I have ever met and heard. And I guess Jared's in Nashville. So, yeah, you know, the weight on this thing, you just don't even notice it's there, right? I mean, that's the thing about an acoustic guitar is, in theory, you just kind of like, it kind of becomes part of you, and you're comfortable. You can just sit there with it all day. Thanks so much for joining us. Always a pleasure, my friend. Let's see here. Good. All right, there we go. And Andy, thanks for the bit stream. 13.65 on several websites. I don't think so. Nah, I don't think so. I think that the about 6 pounds is about right. But then again, I think I'm 20 pounds lighter than I actually am, so maybe I'm not the best judge. But so there we go. A viewer on Facebook said 5.8 pounds. Thank you very much. The only reason the drums give the guitar running, a little competition is you can really hit them loud without needing an amp, right? Okay. So let's see. Let me make sure I'm not missing anybody over here. So I am looking for this Facebook window here, which is now, I've closed it up probably to go over to Sweetwater. So my apologies if I'm missing anybody. There we go. Okay, that one's coming through. All right, so that Facebook is feeding through. So it's my personal Facebook. Okay. Now I just need to find that window. And that one is in Firefox. You would not believe. So what's happened in the background here is Facebook has changed the way you log in. Thank you, Bobby. What's going on, man? Great to see you. Dean, what's going on? Dean, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Tom. So the legato side. Yes. So get a little more volume on the bottom strings. Let me try a little kind of a pentatonic-y kind of thing and kind of see how it does with kind of, if you will, pentatonic hammer on and pull off, kind of old school legato. When you don't have any drive going or without an excessive amount of compression, it's not necessarily, it's a little bit more like an acoustic. So if you're going to play legato, you're going to probably want to be conscious of where you're playing on the neck and kind of really having to. Now, in terms of, if you will, kind of adding a little bit of a pick stroke to kind of kickstart a string. That works. hammer on from nowhere. Unless you're Steve Vai, if anybody's seen that knapsacking thing. But yeah, you want to jump start. But it's also a really quick neck. But more importantly, it's musical. Let me just kind of play some music here. That, by the way, was the piezo. Piezo with drive, actually. Again, the thing about this that I think I love the most, let's have some RD on that. RD. I should know what that is. Speedwagoner, what's RD? I'll probably be like, oh, silly me. The top of the neck here, there are, okay. There are things that when I pick up an acoustic guitar that I want to do. So let me just walk through what those are in a purely selfish way. I want to be able to find obviously some great rhythm tones. So let me just kind of dial in what I think sounds like the right spot. And I think I really like that all the way up between the large body jumbo and that slope back. I think that's a really nice thing. So I'm going to probably start there. All right, first and foremost, if I heard that on a track, I would never think it was this. And that is, I think, if I could start this live stream over again and start somewhere, that would be where I would start. It's like, look, if you can't tell that it's not an acoustic guitar, kind of game over already, right? That's really the thing. Then the ability to kind of shape between the sounds to fine tune that, so that you can get it to sit in the track organically and naturally. Dean, with pleasure. Oh, thank you, Melissa. um, I'll take credit for my awesome wife. So, believability, getting it to fine tune it again. I'm going to mess with the blend control here. So that is to say, this guy all the way in this position, and then the opposite. That's a little brighter than I like, and the other extreme's a little fuller, and that spot in between to be able to do that. All right, so that is arguably the most important thing you have to be able to do is have chords that sound good. The other thing, though, is when I think about chords that sound good, I meant kind of the strum thing. One of my favorite things about acoustic guitar is I spend a lot of time when I hear acoustic guitar in movies, these kind of thematic, moving things where they use it in this very... where you're using the guitar as kind of this melodic shaper for the moment. Those sorts of things are probably what I enjoy playing on the acoustic guitar the most. I also want to be able to have an instrument I can actually do a little playing on. And then at the top of the neck, there's some things that you can only do on an acoustic guitar that you got the access, but sometimes the intonation is not good, which is one of the things about having that much neck access. Quite often, the C at the first fret there is out of tune on a lot of instruments. So to get that in tune, quite often you're going to end up sacrificing some of the intonations at the top of the neck. But this guitar plays exceedingly well in tune. And again, the ability to shape into another voice that's going to allow me to kind of find a slightly different texture lead-wise. And as a matter of fact, I think you guys can probably hear that is actually a better sound. That is, hang on. That is the mahogany jumbo. No, that is the all mahogany small body. But that's a really lovely single note. So what about that is appealing? If you listen as you move across the strings and up and down the neck, the volume and the tonality is extremely consistent, which again, if you think about your average electric guitar, that's something that a lot of guitars don't actually do well on their own. And that note, being as big as it is, flat two. Obviously blended in some of the jumbo and added a little. I'll start off without it, and then I'll blend in, and you can hear it now. It adds a little bit of body. And that helps as you go across the neck. One of the things about playing an acoustic guitar fast, because it still is more like an acoustic guitar than an electric guitar, you kind of have to work to make the string transitions happen. So if you have a thinner sound, you're going to hear more of the stuff you don't want to hear. That is to say, I'm going to purposely stick my tushy out there. But you can hear more of the pick stuff going on there. That is to say, this bit. And you'll hear that when we add the body in, but you get more note because when you hit the transient of the pick attack, you're hearing the attack of the pick, and although you'll still hear the pick as you fill out the body, that is to say, the transient also occurs not just on the top end of the attack, but because you've added more body to the note itself of the note, you don't notice the kind of like the pecky part of the process. Cool. Oh, let's see. Well, thank you. Gracias, amigo. Mexico is beautiful. I actually got a chance to go. Where are you? Are you in? Where are you? Are you in El Distrito? Where are you? Mexico. Yeah, you're in El Distrito. I went there for Ibanez. What's the name of that event that I was at? But what a lovely city. And I've been there a couple of times with families. Excellent. Thanks for hanging out, dude. Let's see. There we go. Randy, oh, D, stupid me. Right. Got it. My bad. I can't. Sonia, what's going on? Great to see you. Good. I don't know how do you say good afternoon or good evening. Thanks for hanging out. No, it is. It is. I think it is a really nicely ergonomic body shape, and one of the things that I had a chance to interview a guy named Fender Billy, who actually is he owns this category at Fender, both the acoustic guitars and actually the Squire. I don't know, Sonia, if you saw this cute little. This is the cutest guitar ever. This little baby Jazzmaster, which actually sounds great, but. One of the things that he was mentioning was that the larger body. First of all, ergonomically speaking, it sits really well when you're sitting. As I mentioned before, the neck has a little bit of weight to it, but once you kind of find that sweet spot where you kind of let it sit there, it fits really well. But the larger body also means that there's a little bit more acoustic projection. That was the first thing I noticed when I pulled it out of the gig bag. Was like, oh, this thing's much louder than the others were. And in fact, if there was anything that I would say about the Acoustasonic Tele and Strat, was I felt that when you played them acoustically, they were a little quiet, because somebody asked, like, do you need an amp? And again, what an idiot. I muted the wrong thing. I was going to say, when you pull this thing out, it's not super loud, but it's not so quiet that you need to plug it in, right? And I know I don't have the volume up, but the neat thing, it sounds acoustic-y, and it doesn't have a huge amount of low end in the body, really. But I don't mind, and again, to be able to bring in the electronic. That's a pretty sound. It's a really satisfying playing. And the neat thing, what I'm always looking for is where the instrument is going to make a musical suggestion. You saw me hit, I don't know what the heck it was. And you're like, oh, then it goes to A minor, right? And a little door. that moment where it kind of invites you in to have some, it's a funny thing that I'm about to say, and I'm going to have to jump in just about 9 minutes from my buddy Shane, but the thing that I'm looking for, and I kind of mentioned some of the practical attributes. But the most important thing is not just for me to kind of be able to kind of play the same stuff that I play over and over on any instrument. I think we can all do that. I think that moment where the instrument kind of calls you and beckons you someplace that you haven't been before, that's what I'm looking for. And, as a primarily electric player, I like the fact that the neck feels like a Strat neck that's just a little tiny bit bigger, but the feel of the neck is very comfortable, because again, if you think about all the guitars that are out there, whether it's a Strat or a Sur or, all the instruments out there that have basically taken the same neck shape, and they may change the headstock a little bit, but the neck is very, very Fender. To have that neck shape on here, it's a little tiny bit bigger, but not so much that you can't get the thumb around the top of the neck, which is one of the issues that I have on some necks where the heel is a little too big right there. I can't get in to grab those Jimmy shapes, and it also affects I can grab those, but it affects my ability to get certain kind of blues licks going as well. Guten Abend, guten Abend. There we go. I have an old hammered duotone, which follows a similar concept, but it hurts on the form, and I take it because it's got a hard edge. So that's one of the other things. Let's see, I can't, hold on. Let me do that. There we go. There you go. You can see the bevel right there. That is really one of the nice things about it. And there's some people that don't necessarily find this instrument attractive. First of all, if you don't like the shape of a Jazzmaster, you're not going to find this instrument attractive. But I think they've done a lovely job of kind of putting this thing together. For those of us that have been to the Vi camps, I don't know if you've heard Steve talk about it. And it's so funny to kind of watch Steve become the normal, not, because if you watched the knapsack thing, which if you haven't seen it, just go see it. At the end of the video, it's just inconceivable what he does. Just inconceivable. Of all the things I've ever seen him do or heard him do, like, Blue Powder for me is kind of one of those peak performance moments where how do you actually do that? Or outdo that rather, and he finally outdid it because it's just, in case you haven't seen, he's basically playing with one hand with high gain and no unwanted open string noise. And just playing this whole thing that is just incredibly technically difficult, amazingly executed, and just humbling and pummeling simultaneously. But that's why he's Steve Vai. But the thing is that we're looking for that thing that draws that handshake out. So the comfort of the instrument, the ability to let it take you somewhere, right? That's I think the ultimate thing. And it's hard to it's hard to kind of get that out of every instrument, I guess is really what I'm trying to say, not well. Oh, look at that. Thank you very much, Alan. Mike Mitchell, what's going on? I hope I hope I didn't complicate your gear issues, but I'm glad we were able to get that question answered last week. RL, I love body contours. That's an interesting thing, RL, because so yeah, that and there's a little belly cut here. It's fascinating because with the Les Paul folks, the purists would they would not be pleased with your comment, but I think one of my Ibanez lawsuit era knockoffs has a body contour on. And I was like, it's really comfy. It's a nice feature to have. And as Sonia was pointing out, that when it starts digging into your forearm, you basically don't play the guitar as much, which kind of defeats the whole purpose. But again, the idea of speaking to the purist, there are things that are uniquely. There we go. Sonia posted. There we go. Thank you very much. So that is on the Facebook feed there. yeah, thank you, Sonia. Bobby, is that Steve Vai thing on YouTube? Yeah, there we go, Bobby. So the link is on the feed there. There you go. Thanks so much, Tom. Thank you so much. Uh, there you go. Thanks for the demo. If I buy one, I'll tell Doug sent me. That's great. Yeah, no, the knapsack thing is just it's just inconceivable. So, any case, hey, I got to sign off too, folks. Very quiet, silent even. Jacob, great to see you. I hope the chess world is treating you well. Arlen and all these folks, Manuel, Sonia, Bobby, Alan, Tom, and anybody that I managed to forget here. My apologies. Adam, Rick, thanks so much. What a great way to start the weekend. And I wish everybody a great day. And so thanks so much for hanging out. I hope this has been helpful. It's kind of an interesting way to present an instrument, but a really fun one. So thank you so much. Have an awesome day, and look forward to seeing you next week. By the way, next week, what we're going to be going over, I just didn't have quite as much time as I wanted to prepare for this, and I'm sure there will be some other thing, but we have got the lovely, the one and only HX Stomp XL. And this bad boy is not shipping yet, but it's getting close to shipping. And so, obviously there is a lot of noise happening right now about the Neural DSP Quad Cortex, and I'm part of the noise making around that. But I have been a Line 6er for a very, very long time, and I am privileged enough to kind of have an advanced release of this one. So part of my week is going to be spent getting to some level of attempted mastery on this so I can walk people through this. And, the great thing is I think at this point, as people start looking at modelers in my last 1 minute, thank you, Manuel, is that, I think people are going to probably have a couple of different boxes depending on what they're doing, right? I have really enjoyed having Helix rack here, and I've got this other stuff that will be going into rotation because I'm doing a series of demos for Celestia. That's what these speakers are here. Those are their FRLR speakers, and we will definitely be delving deep on those within the next month. Once I have a larger body of stuff that I can play with, and I can kind of run through some of the different tones live and in person. But the Helix rack is something that I can turn to just over and over. So I think there's a convenience around form factors for certain types of things. And I would have to say, whether it's HX Stomp XL, which is what that bad boy is, or just HX Stomp, that little baby form factor, I mean, it's so much power and the ability to kind of build a board around it or whatever. So I'm excited about all the stuff that's out there. And, one of the things is that I think, Melissa asked me as well, how do people tell what to choose? And I don't necessarily think it has to be one or the other. I realize not everybody's in a position where they can kind of own all the different things that they might want to own. So sometimes it's, they sell one to get another. But sometimes having a couple of different form factors of a couple of different platforms allows us to kind of hang out in both spaces. And, I just want to affirm for people like, is that strange? No, it's not, because it means that you can kind of understand what's happening in those, if you will, parallel universes. And I think that's what, it's kind of like, well, would I want a Strat or a Tele, or would I want a Strat or a Les Paul? Well, you know what? Guess what? Having a Strat and a Les Paul, if you're in a position to do that, or whatever other instrument it is, that allows you to kind of find out what that instrument allows you to do. So with that said, have a great day. Thank you so much for hanging out, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Cheers.